With it or quit it. With it, quit it.
What?
With it.
We about to turn up in this bitch.
What am I winning or quitting today?
Okay, 15 months after Colin Kaepernick filed grievance under the CBA for collusion against the NFL owners, he, Eric Reid, and the Shield agreed to settle. The terms of the settlement are hidden behind a confidentiality agreement, but Joy, the NFL is smart for settling with Kaepernick. With it or quit it.
Yes, they are smart for settling with Kaepernick.
It's a woke decision to make.
That is the best decision that the NFL could have made. However, it is quite revealing and does not make anything go away, which is a good thing for all of us out in the content world. I think it would have been nice for some people to actually physically see the evidence of the collusion.
Yes.
Now, legally, they didn't admit to the collusion through the settlement.
That's why you have to settle. Because you don't have to do anything in the settlement.
Right. So it's like, we're not technically saying we colluded, but we feel compelled to give you millions and millions and millions of dollars, although we aren't saying that we colluded. So technically, there was no collusion. All the rest of us feel like if you didn't have any evidence of collusion, why would you settle? Now, a lot of those cases, in civil settlements, that's an unfair assumption. In this case, the NFL has shown that they are willing to go to extreme lengths to persecute even their biggest star of the last 20 years for something that scientifically could have just been a little accident.
What are you talking about?
Deflategate. I mean, they destroyed the character of Tom Brady and tried to completely ruin his legacy over some deflated footballs, which in all fairness, I think did happen. I did think that they deflated the footballs.
Oh, yeah,
I do think that they were deflated to within the legal space.
Right.
And I think that's pretty obvious considering the fact that the second half of that game was a complete destroyance.
Yes.
And they've been fine ever since. So I really don't feel like it's clear everyone doesn't care about Deflategate anymore, although it was the biggest story in sports for like a year and a half.
Way too long, too.
Way too long.
Yeah.
But the point is they are willing to go to extreme lengths to prove their points. And if they're going to do that to Tom Brady, the biggest thing is they have long money. Like in any legal case, usually the person with the longer money in a civil case situation like these, they usually win because they can just fight this in court forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And the NFL is owned by all billionaires who have a lot of money, all of them together.
Billions of dollars, some
right.
would say.
So Kaepernick doesn't have billions of dollars backing him. I'm not positive if the Players Union is involved with that, but they were involved with Tom Brady's case in defending him, and that was also part of the reason why he ended up folding and taking the suspension because he didn't want to drain any more funds from the Players Association or Players Union legal fund. So the fact that they settled, to me, widely revealing. And to me, it just says they had something of some significance that the NFL did not want revealed at the next level of court if they didn't settle here. So,
is there anything else that we don't already know, though? Because, like, the facts as they're laid out to us just by hearsay and what we've read up until this point, that's enough for Kaepernick to win a collusion case. That's why this swift settlement feels very damning to the NFL because they clearly had things that were going to make it so Kaepernick was going to get paid out regardless.
I mean, he deserved the money that he got. Like, that's the bottom line in all of this. And I do think he got a lot of money. I think the $20-30 million range, I don't think that's what it was. I think it was much closer to the 80 to the $100 million range. Yeah. That's my impression of it. Because what he could, and his lawyers could argue, is that they not only took away his immediate income, but future income. And they could have also argued, this is a quarterback who has been to the Super Bowl, was back within a game of going back to the Super Bowl, throw away from winning a Super Bowl, and had he continued to play, possibly got back on track. You can use actual examples to show that you messed up future income for years and years to come.
Defamation of character.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I think it's on the higher ends of this. But the bigger picture is this. The story's not going away just because the settlement happened.
Right.
That's not a thing. It's still going to be talked about. Right away, his lawyers started talking about maybe he's going to end up with Charlotte or,
Patriots.
Yeah, possibly. Charlotte or with with the Patriots. I don't think either of those things, Charlotte, Carolina, either of those things are going to happen. But I think that's just his lawyer talking. But also, it doesn't matter to me anymore. Like, he got his money, which I 100% support. What else are you suing for? And I know people will say, well, you should have fought it and exposed them. And to me, the exposure is there. Like, it's an L for the NFL.
This is an admission of guilt by the NFL.
Right. It's not legally. It's not actually. Yes. But the NFL has such long money that if there was really actually nothing, why wouldn't you just continue to fight it forever? Because the story's never going, literally never going away. It's going to be in history books. Our children's children will read about this. So why not argue it to the end to show that this didn't happen? That's in my opinion. Now, we also know that there are conversations that happen in every business on every level, and you could call all of those conversations collusion.
100%.
If you really get into the technical term of what is collusion. I don't think that there was like a grand meeting of the owners and it was like, we shall not allow him to pass. And then the mallet comes down.
You don't think so?
And the curtains rise and like the ravens are released. It's not that deep. Okay. Like they don't have the recording of that. And they're like, we really can't let this out because like YouTube is going to crash.
Based on the amount of money that you're saying that they give Kaepernick, they may have been that big.
What is that to the NFL though?
That's fair.
I mean, what is that?
That's fair.
All right, what's next?
Okay, Antonio Brown and the Steelers president, Art Rooney, finally sat down to talk about what went wrong during his 9 years in Pittsburgh. After the meeting, Brown, a.k.a. Mr. Big Chest, tweeted, "We both agree that it's time to move on. Joy, Antonio Brown is single-handedly ruining the Steelers' season next year. With it or quit it."
I'm going to quit it because he is not single-handedly doing any of this. I have a question. Am I missing something with the Mr. Big Chest thing? Is it something over my head?
I mean, are we missing something with the blonde mustache?
No.
Are we missing something with the new hairdo?
I understand all that.
Oh, you do? Oh,
yeah.
I'm...
It's a new self-given nickname, right? That's what
Yes.
he's doing
Right,
with
I'm
it.
100% out on self-given nicknames.
But you like the Black Mamba.
Like I've always wanted a
And the Prince
nickname.
of Privilege.
Well, we gave you that. Didn't we?
I gave you that name. He
Yeah.
likes to think he's so privileged that he likes to think
thinks
that
he
he
gave
gave
his own
himself that nickname.
I know.
I heard him talking about his girlfriend the other day. I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah,
There's
I
another
mean,
thing.
it makes sense. Okay, but I'm out. I've always wanted a nickname, and no nicknames stick because my first name is so short. So sometimes
And
people
Joyce,
call me
yeah.
JT, but it's like any name that's like a shorter version of your actual name. I don't consider to be a nickname.
Right. But what if you had the what would you make
Like
your
B
nickname
is
to
not
be?
your nickname.
No.
That's the first letter of your first name.
Yeah, it's accurate.
Be new? Is that a nickname?
No, because that's the first letter
Still
and the
a
first
nickname.
3 letters of
yeah.
his name. And it's something that's completely not your name. Like your parents did not name you Prince of Privilege.
Oh, my brother calls me Jonathan.
You and your brother have some stuff going on.
It's a good
Anyway,
nickname.
the point is, Mr. Big Chest.
Jonathan?
I feel like Mr. Big Chest is not going to stick.
I'm gonna
but
make it stick.
I will say this about Antonio Brown.
What?
While he's creating a lot of noise and he's doing a lot of tweeting, and there were a lot of things that happened before the season, and then towards the end of the season, and then obviously since the season has ended, that would point to Antonio Brown is a troublemaker, and he's just a lot of noise and a lot of trouble, and it's not worth it. First of all, he is worth it. Okay, just let's everyone know. Everyone's seen some football lately. Antonio Brown is still the best receiver in the league. If he's not the best, he's the second best.
Right.
If you like Julio Jones more, or the third if you like Odell more. But they're all really interchangeable as the best. Okay, and that's just a matter of opinion at the top.
For some years now.
And I really feel like Antonio Brown is the best. But yeah, he comes with a personality, as most diva wide receivers do, and
Most wide receivers
do. And he's worth every penny. And the Steelers are not going to be better without him next year. Yes, I realize they have Juju Smith-Schuster, and they have Switzer, and they have James Washington, and they're going to get some other pieces, and they're really good at drafting receivers, and all that's fine and nice, but you don't just replace Antonio Brown. That's not how it works. You don't just replace Le'Veon Bell. And for everyone keeps saying that, James Conner, I'm questioning, I just forgot. Did they make the playoffs this year? Because they didn't make the playoffs this year. They didn't make the playoffs this year. So yeah, you did miss Le'Veon Bell.
Did.
Okay? You didn't make the playoffs this year. So my whole point, and I was getting a little pushback on this, and I just like to remind everyone that I don't care, is that it's not about Antonio Brown in the situation with the Steelers. And he met with Art Rooney. He said they're moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a culture breakdown in Pittsburgh. That is the problem. Mm-hmm. The fact that Antonio Brown feels like he can talk this way about this organization, he can do the things that he's doing, which I overall don't have a problem with because this is what he feels like he needs to do.
Right.
is the Steelers' problem. It starts from the top. If you are the leader of an organization, in no situation can you come out and do anything but take full responsibility for everything that happens, good and bad. That's how it works. That's how it works. And everyone was like, oh, Ben Roethlisberger always takes the blame for everything. No, he doesn't. He takes the blame a lot. He takes the blame a lot.
He passes it around.
But he also passes it around.
Yeah.
All right. And that's not saying that Ben Roethlisberger isn't a Hall of Famer.
Right.
That's not saying that he is not a great quarterback or that he hasn't been a great leader or that he hasn't won Super Bowls. All those things are facts. Yeah. He can also have flaws.
Well, the cultural breakdown for the Steelers is one thing because we all within families have our issues. But when those become public.
Right.
From a big piece of that and demanding that they need to be moved and saying other things in Facebook Lives like if you don't have good camaraderie, if your team's full of haters, then I don't want to be there. That doesn't feel like a reaction to where he's coming from. Like those things coming out in public are ruining the season before it even gets started, in my opinion.
But that's not all on Antonio Brown is what I'm saying. Like a lot of this is getting put on Antonio Brown because people don't know how to absorb personalities. Yeah. And I feel like it's some of Antonio Brown's fault. It's some of Ben Roethlisberger's fault. And I think the biggest chunk of fault goes to Mike Tomlin because he is the one who's supposed to create the environment and create the culture and then be on the same page with Ben Roethlisberger to institute that culture. Look at what wins. Yeah. That's what happens. Everyone has to be on the same page. We say it all the time. Football's the ultimate team sport. You can't pick and choose. You can treat everybody differently, but you have to treat everybody fairly. And when you're not doing that, then other people start to take notice of it, and it creates chaos because everyone has an ego. It's a lot to manage that many egos. Okay, it's a lot to manage my own ego. I can't imagine managing that many egos. It takes a great skill, but it also takes a great understanding, and the person at the top has to have that understanding, and then it goes down from there. Antonio Brown's never going to be bigger than the quarterback. And if you are bigger than the quarterback, you're in a bad situation.
Odell Beckham, Giants.
Yes, that's not a good situation.
No.
So he was in a good situation with playing a dependent position with Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know where he's going to end up. Hopefully in a situation where he is playing with a good quarterback so we can see more of his skill utilized in
if he's on the field,
the NFL.
You see him.
Right. But overall, I think there's plenty of blame to go around, and it starts with the culture that it is in Pittsburgh. And by the way, I'm from Pittsburgh, so for all you Steelers fans who are flipping out, calling me a hater, just dismiss me with it.
She's speaking what she knows.
I still have a 412 phone number. Just relax.
Oh, hey, shouts out.
Yeah.
Okay. Last summer, Odell Beckham Jr. signed a 5-year, $90 million contract extension with the New York Giants, and now there's growing speculation that the Giants may be interested in trading OBJ during the offseason. Joy, Odell Beckham Jr. will help a team get to the playoffs next season. With it or quit it?
I will with it. I do think he is going to be traded.
Yeah, that's interesting enough because that's making two teams much better. Because if you're trading OBJ, you're getting a lot back.
Are you?
You have to.
What's a lot?
Why would you do that?
Are you going to get a first round pick?
First round pick, a role player that to fill a spot, and something else. I'll take a coach too.
Are you? Are you really going to get all that?
$90 million, 5-year deal. What are you trading for if you're not going to get something back?
I mean, you are going to get something back, but
a new quarterback.
I don't know how much you're actually going to get back for Odell.
Why do you think they're getting traded then?
You know what? It depends on what the Giants do this year. Like if they take a quarterback in the draft, which they obviously should. Obviously, they should take a quarterback. We can stop pretending it's getting ridiculous at this point.
But there are other quarterbacks out there that can do better than some of the quarterbacks in this draft. I'm just saying that.
Okay, but you still need a quarterback.
Yes,
so just take one because one of those draft picks that you're going that you have is going to end up being a bust. So just risk it and take a quarterback because you need one. It's not going to make a difference. Eli Manning is done. We're done with Eli Manning. Thank you for the many years. Thank you for beating the Patriots those 2 times. It was very important to me personally, especially the one where you kept them from going undefeated. Very important to me. So I think you're a Hall of Famer just for that. Eli. But we're done here. We're done with the Eli Manning thing. Like, we're all in agreement. We all agree on that, right?
Yeah. And thanks for the Visa commercials with Saquon.
Yeah, great commercials. Great commercials. Many years of great commercials with your brother. Please continue to do them.
Yes.
They're very clever. They're very funny. I can't, off the top of my head, remember any of them, but I laughed at all of them. Anyway, the more important thing is the Patriots were the ones who were pushing for Odell last season. And had that happened, wow, what a different world we would live in right now. I mean, the Patriots still won the Super Bowl, so our lives are still ruined. But
of course.
Tom Brady with Odell, if that were to still happen, I don't know. Like, it's almost at the point now where Could he be successful with a receiver like Odell? Because he's so used to playing with like
I would say this:
Julian Edelman.
There's a mix because Tom Brady has found success in a big way with top wide receivers like Randy Moss, but also let's not forget Chad Ochocinco / Chad Johnson went over to the Patriots and didn't exactly know what he was doing, but he was still a big name on that roster. So it honestly depends on how much of an actual football mind and player that Odell Beckham is.
I actually think that he would be a great fit in that regard. I know people think
so.
like personalities don't work with the Patriots, and my argument is always I give you Gronkowski. I mean, yes, personalities work with the Patriots. Gronk isn't even, he's not even on a first name basis. He's on a half of his last name basis. Okay. He's just, he's just Gronk. And you don't even have to explain yourself. You just say Gronk and everyone knows who you're talking about and what comes with it.
Yeah.
So he has been able to be himself in that environment because he's also a hard worker. Yeah. And he's clearly shown that he can keep a relationship with Tom Brady. And I think that Odell is a workout warrior. Like I don't think he's a guy who's lazy. Yeah. I think he's a guy that works hard in practice. And I think that he may have some moments where he comes across as being selfish or like the celebrations, whatever, which I obviously don't care about, but weird crusty people care about that.
Right.
But the point is, I think he can get into a place where he would fit into that system. Like he could have his personality and be who he is, and I think they really just care about doing your job. Like at the end of the day, it's do your job. So I think he works there.
You can criticize him for caring too much about social media, and I would say when you say he's a workout warrior, I'm like, yeah, it's all social media content. He would do anything for a great video and some good likes and clicks.
Well, you got to work out to do that.
Yes, exactly. But we don't see Kaepernick putting out a lot of workout videos. I'm just saying.
Yes, he
does. We don't see a lot. We don't see as much Odell. I'm just saying there may be questions about what he cares about the most in the Patriots locker room. Caring about football the most is the best way to succeed. So. It's not as clear as a
obviously
plug and play,
the Patriots felt that way because they were apparently pushing for him hard this season.
He's young. He didn't change at any point in time. 26 years old.
We'll see. I just want to see him with a quarterback that is competent.
Can throw it to him.
Yeah.
Down the field.
Yes.
Yeah.